Hi everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In this video I'll be using the latest beta of the new MTPredictor version 7.5, which you can see here. Today I particularly want to look at the YM, particularly because we were looking at this in detail on our in our training webinar yesterday. If I go back earlier in the day, you can see we opened here with a gap up and the market declined quite nicely. So the first setup we were looking at yesterday was this setup here I'm circling. So if I put the analysis on, you can see it was a TS1 buy, STF was blue, perfectly valid trade setup. The market just about clipped the 100% initial risk level. So let's take a worst case scenario for standard traders. You would have kept long and you would have been stopped out for a -1 hour loss. So for standard traders that would have been a -1 hour loss. But I'll come back and look at this in conjunction with the large degree trend, which is what we were talking about in our training webinar in a bit later. Let's just clear this off. Let's carry on a bit later in the day. We can see we had a history triangle and then a TS3 sell setup. So was this two setups? Well, no, it wasn't, because if I look at the bar highs, if you look at the information at the top there, the high of that bar was 08 and the high of that bar was 08 as well. In other words, it was a double top. So in reality you'd have actually been short in this first trade excuse me, short in this first trade. Then because our stop was 09, you wouldn't have been stopped out, therefore there would be no second trade. This happens sometimes when you get double tops, but in reality it's only one trade. So here you were short. Remember, we used correct position sizing to keep our initial risk small under control. The market came down. It actually had a second attempt here to make another setup, but for standard traders we don't suggest you pyramid. That's an advanced technique. So for standard traders you'd have held it into the first target, which was here. STF is weak, therefore you'd have come out with a nice a nice 7.5 hour profit. And that's the beauty of position sizing and what we do in MTPredictor, because if I scroll out a bit, you remember that our first trade here was a -1 hour loss. Our second trade down here was a plus 7.5 hour profit. And this is what's so important to be a successful trader, is to have losses small, profits big, or put the other way around, have a system where the profits are large and your losses are small. And this is a great example of how we do this in MTPredictor, particularly the use of our correct position sizing to do this as well. So yesterday was a very good day for standard traders, and it was nice that it's come round to have some good profitable days. And it's what I was talking about in the webinar, in that after a couple of hard days over the last few days where the markets have basically been going sideways, it was nice to have the cyclical nature of trading coming round and giving us a good day. So that was for standard traders. So how would advanced traders look at this? Well, advanced traders would go to the larger degree time frame. In this case it's the 15-minute chart. I'll just take that off because that was left on from yesterday's webinar, and show you how we view this with advanced eyes. Now what we were doing in the webinar is we were going back to the last major high, which came in here on the 29th of November, which was the last pivot high, putting a decision point of resistance on the chart from there. And as you can see, extend that out a bit, that caught the high of the day yesterday just after the open. So what we were saying was there was a clear picture on the YM that the large degree trend was down. And can you see that? There's your 15-minute DP resistance. Remember, this would have been on your chart in advance before the market even opened. That's the beauty of these decision points. They're leading indicators. They're there in advance ready for you. So you'd have known as the market came up there, you'd have been at resistance. So therefore the trend was down off that 15-minute high. So what we were saying was, because the trend was down, at the very least you'd have been cautious about this TS1 buy setup. And because it just about clipped the 100% initial risk level, if you were long off this TS1 buy setup, you should have put your stop to break even and come out with a break even trade. But we were discussing this at the time and saying this was probably against the large degree trend, and therefore was a trade that advanced traders would probably want to miss or pass on. Now of course, what happens now when we come into these TS3 setups? Well, we've already seen they are perfectly valid, and for the standard trader, because the STF is red, we can see it's red there. But can you also see, because the large degree trend was down off our 15-minute chart there's our 15-minute chart, trend is down, that at this point in time the sell setups will be in the direction of our large degree trend. If I put a decision point on from this last pivot, there you can see, so at this point in time the trend would have been down into this area here. So there'd be no question at all about taking these trade setups here. They would have been very, very good ones to take. So all MTPredictor users, both standard and advanced traders, should have been in these short trades here. The only question comes as the market gets into this area here, which was at about 1:30, because if I look at the 15-minute chart, at about 1:30, which is here, the market went into 15-minute support, and actually there was a TS4 buy setup came in. So for an advanced trader, what you would probably have been doing is, as the market made these wide range bars down here, you'd have been preparing for a potential low as it hit the 15-minute DP, and you probably would have actually been trailing with the just above the bar highs. So you may well have come out with a plus 5.6R profit. If I go back and put the decision point on from here, you can see that coming in. That's the same area. 15 and 3 minute was both off that pivot. So that's what the advanced traders may well have done among you. Come in here and protected your profit by trailing your stop a bit closer as you entered this first target. So rather than waiting out all this horrible choppy stuff, you'd have probably come out with a plus 5.7R profit. And then the new trend would have been up, so you'd have probably avoided this TS1 sell here. So yeah, even for the advanced traders, it would have been a very good day, because you'd have avoided this first TS1 buy setup, or at the very least had it break even, then climbed aboard and got all over this TS3 sell here, down into at least the larger degree 15-minute DP, which is down here, for then probably at least a nice 5.7R profit. So either way, for both the standard and advanced traders yesterday, it would have been a very good day for MTPredictor users on the YM.